Hi and welcome to A World of Words. I'm Vanessa and today I'm going to be talking about writing those scenes that fight you. So I like to read a lot of books on writing craft, and so I've read so many articles on so many different subjects, and there was one article in particular, I don't remember what it's called, but it said something along the lines of, if a scene is giving you too much trouble, then you need to reevaluate it and decide if it actually needs to be there. And I just thought, there are kids screaming outside and it's very distracting. You can probably hear them. Well, it is true to a certain extent that sometimes, you don't need every single scene that you think you do at first. I don't 100% agree that just because you're having trouble with a scene that it doesn't have a place in your story. Oftentimes I struggle with scenes that I know are essential to my story, and I'm having trouble because I know the scene carries so much weight and I just don't feel like it's as romantic, poignant, exciting, funny, etc. as I feel like it needs to be. So after I've built up the scene so much in my head, it needs to be all of these things, I freeze once I actually make it to that scene in my story. I suddenly can't even find the words to start the scene because I've already made it such a big deal in my head. Luckily, I guess, I don't know if this condition can really be considered lucky. This has actually happened to me often enough that I've devised several ways to push through this annoying mental state and get the stupid words on this stupid page. If you're trying to write a scene that is just being difficult, feel free to try one or any combination of these following methods. First method is probably, the most obvious. I feel like it's the most obvious to me anyway, is to visualize the scene. So this method really works best if you're someplace quiet, if you can get yourself someplace quiet, or unless you have really, really amazing concentration skills. Take a moment to just relax and get comfortable, or as comfortable as you can in your current seating situation, and just close your eyes, really relax and try and clear your mind as much as possible. And it's okay if you actually want to try doing this now. You can, still hear me with your eyes closed. Think about your scene and think about the scene that came before it a little bit. If you want to go and read a little bit of that scene before it and then come into it, or you just have all of your notes and you know exactly what you want to happen, you just don't really know how to start the scene, or it's not working for you, just close your eyes and just relax and think of the scene. I find it easiest to just start from the beginning of the scene, so just picture it. Picture the setting, picture what characters are in it. Also think about the tone you want the scene to have. And if there's more than one character, what are they talking about? Things like that. So just try and picture the scene as clearly as you can and just go through the scene mentally. Literally write it in your head as it's a movie or something. Let it play out in your head. Just, visualize it, let it play out in your head for as long as you want. You can do the whole scene. You can do enough so that you feel like you can get going. This usually works really, really well for me, and sometimes it's really all you need is to just kind of relax and think about the scene. I find it a lot easier to picture the scene just if I could just get in my head rather than staring at the blank page on my computer or the blank page in my notebook if I'm writing by hand. And obviously with this method you can start with whatever comes to mind first. It can be dialogue, it can be the setting, it can be a character's actions, it can be a character's inner monologue as they are going through whatever situation you're struggling with. And when you're using this method, just once you feel like you've gotten as much as you want really out of this, open your document or your notebook and write everything exactly how you pictured it. Just keep going, and if you get stuck again, you can always go back and continue visualizing from that point. Open your eyes, keep typing. Sometimes this works really, really well for me. Usually I find once I get started writing, I'm fine. It's just the initial opening of the scene a lot of times is what I really, really struggle with. Sometimes you do get stuck on a certain piece of dialogue or something like that. Other times, sadly, the visualization isn't quite enough to get you started on your scene. Sometimes you need a little bit more, so watch on. My next method is the scene inventory list, and this is pretty much what it sounds like. So go back into the visualization as I described above, step 1 I guess, and now instead of opening your eyes and starting to actually write the scene, just start listing everything you saw in your mind's eye, essentially. For example, if you're focusing on the setting, if it's an interior, list everything in the room that you can think of or that you kind of saw jump out at you as you were visualizing it. If it's an exterior, think about the landscape. Where is the character? You know, what sort of things are around them? What is the weather like? How, of course, does your character feel about this landscape or the weather? You could also focus on your character. What is his or her mood? What, if anything, was on your character's mind at that moment? Even if your visualization wasn't 100% focused on setting or character or plot even, you can just list anything and everything you came up with, because chances are you came up with something when you were sitting there and picturing your scene. If you ever get stuck in the future and you're not really sure what to visualize, here are a few things that I think are pretty important in every scene and that you can use if you are stuck. So you can think about what is the character's mood in the scene, which I feel like is kind of the most important thing because it will carry through all of your descriptions. What does the setting look like? Again, like I said, interior, exterior, weather, decorations in the room, all of that. What is the character doing? Are they alone or are they by themselves? Is the character thinking about anything? What are they thinking about? If the character isn't alone, are they talking to the person that they're with? If so, what are they talking about? The more specific you get about the scene, the easier it will be to organize the scene. You may even find that from your list that you're writing down, you've actually already written part of the scene, because especially with like the dialogue or what's on the character's mind, you know, you'll start writing those sort of things. You'll even maybe have started writing your description, and you can use all of that to help you on with your scene, and hopefully it's a really good jumping off point that you can use. And even if you visualize everything in the scene, you know, go ahead and write it in there. You can always edit out later stuff that doesn't seem necessary when you're going through and doing your revision. Right now it's just important to get everything that you're thinking about onto the page. My last tip is mostly about creating a certain mood or tone in your scene. If you know how you want to make your readers feel in a scene, but you're finding it a bit emotionless, or maybe it's even evoking the wrong emotions, here is a really great way to get your scene on track. Listen to music. I love listening to music soundtrack scores while I write. Even if you don't own any, there's actually a surprising number of them available on YouTube for free. I of course love music with lyrics as well, but I can't really write to music with lyrics because it's distracting and I tend to sing along, maybe even start like dancing in my seat, and then it's just, the writing just doesn't happen. On the other hand, while I'm drawing, I love listening to music with lyrics. If you've decided that you want your scene to have a certain tone, simply pick a track on the soundtrack that has a similar tone to the one you want to convey, and play it while you write the scene. I am always surprised by how much this one helps. I will go into more detail about like the type of music you can listen to, or maybe my top favorite soundtracks to write to in a different video, because I feel like that is just going to take a very long time and it's not necessarily the point of this video. So those are my main tips on how to get through a scene that's giving you a really hard time. I really hope they help. They pretty much always work for me. I'm actually currently kind of stuck on a scene, and so I think I will use these and try and get myself going. It's a scene that I feel like will be really fun, but again, I built it up in my head too much and now I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I'm going to try and use these tips and actually help myself. So let me know in the comments below if you used any of these tips, if they were helpful to you. Also, if you have your own additional tips on how to get through scenes that are giving you a hard time, please share them. I would love to hear them. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if it was helpful to you, and subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. I do all sorts of videos, some on writing, some on reading, and occasionally some stuff on drawing too. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye!